everyone, it's me again, Steedoj here, and I'm going to start off this video by saying that there was recently a tips and tricks on how to dodge all super and ultimate attacks in the game. Basically, just hold the block button when the cinematic is happening, and I want to just start the video now by saying that's false, that's just not correct. I'll show you how to actually dodge all supers and ultimates in the game through just timing your guards with the enemy's projectile or their melee super. The reason why in that clip it looks like he's able to avoid everything is just because he's holding his guard button as the cutscene is happening point blank, but that's to an ultimate attack that happens instantaneously. I don't feel like it's a very fair test, and it's going to mislead a lot of people. You could see me and Prolefsy actually practice with as many moves as we can. We even find new moves that we didn't even know were unblockable that we can also practice dodging against, but it's not going to work against every move in the game. You can't just hold block mid cutscene. You can see Prolefsy doesn't even want to try this against Spirit Bomb, and Spirit Bomb is unblockable, so he just dodges that on reaction instead. That was not from holding the block button. You can see that when the cinematic was over, he's actually still not blocking. So now that we've gotten past the fact that you can't just avoid ultimate attacks by holding the block button mid-cutscene, which is a ridiculous thing to say. Again, I'm not going to say that the person who made this tutorial is lying. I think he just didn't know. He has very limited experience in what he was doing. He just saw that he was able to avoid Broly's ultimate consistently at point-blank range by just holding block mid-cutscene. So he just assumed, hey, I guess that's just how it works. And he didn't really take into account that Broly's ultimate is notoriously fast in the game. In fact, most Broly players actually just use the ultimate from far away, so there's even less chance you avoid it. Another person even showed proof it works all the time, which is another clip where a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta does a combo to him and then ends the combo of Ultra Big Bang Kamehameha, and he dodges it despite being in a knockback. Now, the reason why he dodged it is because he's fighting online, and there's obviously going to be a bit more lag, so when your block actually goes through, it goes through much later. Therefore, he was able to avoid it kind of basically on timing. He actually did that one on reaction, for lack of a better word, but he mistook it for blocking it because of the animation. If he was holding it the entire animation, he would have just lost straight up. Now, this is obviously lots of clips of me and Prolefsy. In fact, we were practicing this for basically nearly an hour, just seeing how this unblockable and blockable feature works with super attacks. Can you avoid every super attack? And here I use a cutscene super attack. I tell Prolefsy to block mid cutscene, and he ends up just blocking the move naturally rather than it being an automatic dodge. Keep in mind, the guy says all you have to do is just hold block mid cinematic and you dodge it. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because people like Ramstyle and Afro Sandru actually did like retweet this information, so a lot of people are going to now be like, oh, that means it works. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Everyone is just a little bit confused. It doesn't work. You just still need to dodge things on reaction. Again, there'll be lots of instances of me and Prolefsy showing you how you can actually dodge moves on reaction, but we're going to just first of all prove that you can't dodge things by just holding the button down. It only applies for moves that are literally frame 1 or melee supers from point blank range. Here you can actually see me and Prolefsy recreating the same scenario. I use Explosive Cannon, Gohan's point blank super, and he holds the button down and he gets a regular block because Explosive Cannon has a tiny bit of delay before the actual blast from the Explosive Cannon does release. Again, Explosive Cannon is not a literal frame 1 super attack, so that's why this happens. Meanwhile, on the other end, DBZ Broly actually does have a frame 1 ultimate attack. This move does damage the moment it comes out, meaning if you hold block during the cutscene, 100% of the time at point blank range, you just dodge it. You could see it right there of me and Prolefsy. We didn't do any different scenario. We just did the exact same scenario that you could see in the video. Broly's notoriously quick ultimate attack and just holding block in the middle of it. You can see it doesn't work when I do it for the super attack because the super attack has a lot of delay, meaning by the time my block goes in, the game registers that the window for a perfect dodge is completely out the window. To further again prove that this is the case, we also did it with a knockback super because, you know, they also talk about how it works with knockbacks as well, totally. But here Prolefsy does a knockback. I am holding it mid-animation. Keep in mind, Broly still has a notoriously fast ultimate, but because it's from further away, there's going to be a bit of delay before it connects, and holding it didn't do anything. Like, you can just see me getting hit. So don't hold the guard button when an ultimate attack or super attack is coming away. Try and time it on reaction. Again, it can be very hard with lag, but the issue of lag is that you need to overcome and adapt it. I would know this since I've been in the pits for Xenoverse 2 for the entire 8 years of the game's lifespan. But when it comes to delay-based stuff, you do have to just kind of adapt around it. If you notice that the delay maybe takes a second or two longer, you can usually tell when you're just playing the game if, you know, it takes longer for your melee animation to come out, or if it takes longer for you to be able to Z-counter something. Maybe you need to press the button way earlier just to get the Z-counter, right? The same will apply with super and ultimate attacks here. Or, again, you can just set your connection to be really high. I only want to fight people with 4 bars and 5 bars of connection. Therefore, you can guarantee that you get matches where it's actually easy to dodge something. Because, you know, why would you want to go through a laggy match just for the sake of it? It doesn't make a lot of sense, so I don't blame you if you want to just tune your connection up. But I am saying online, 100%, it will not be even as easy as it is when me and Prolefsy are recording, because we're recording from the same house. We're just recording the game online, so that's the only difference. Now, this doesn't only happen with DBZ Broly's ultimate. Even Gohan's ultimate is a frame 1 ultimate attack. His beam comes out the moment his cinematic is done. I want you guys to keep that in mind because not every beam is actually as fast as this. The moment his cinematic is done, the beam is out, which means holding block mid-animation gets you a guaranteed dodge. You can see Prolefsy just casually dodged it by just holding block on Broly the moment I was finished, meaning, yeah, he just gets to dodge the attack straight up for free. Again, just to further confirm, if you do moves in a combo, the enemy is put in a knockback, and because they're in a knockback, they are further away from you, and therefore it takes longer for the projectile to hit them, meaning holding block no longer works as an option. You can see Prolefsy held block there, and he just got hit by the entire ultimate attack instead. So you're going to just have to wait a tiny bit longer when it's like you're in a knockback combo and they fire out immediately. If you're in a knockback combo and they fire out late, you can wait slightly longer, but at least the time lets you learn how fast the beam is, and therefore you can time your dodge around it better. You'll see me and Prolefsy actually show this off a lot better later, but for now, we just want to go over how certain characters have a very, very quick ultimates. Again, Full Power Frieza is another good example of this. Just like Gohan and just like Broly, his move may not be unblockable, but it's so quick you can just hold guard in front of him and avoid it. Chaozu didn't take any damage. There's no damage numbers on the screen. Chaozu still has his whole 2 full health bars. So some moves are just lightning quick. Even if they're not unblockable like DBZ Broly's ultimate attack, they're just so fast that holding block will let you dodge them. Another thing I wanted to test is how this works with melee supers, and I'm happy to say that melee supers are actually easy enough. You just hold block when you're right in front of someone. For example, I'm right in front of Prolefsy. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go for my melee super. Just hold block when I'm mid-cinematic. And he does, and it works 100% of the time. Keep in mind, almost every melee super has the exact same travel speed, meaning that you can just hold block in front of any melee super in the game, so long as it's point blank, and you can get a free dodge. This is especially useful if you're fighting Yajirobe's and Videls, who only have melee supers and therefore spam it. But something that's different with Blue Goku is that his ultimate attack is actually slow enough that point blank, you don't dodge it, you just block it instead. So I wouldn't recommend trying to do this on timing, because it's just slow enough that you only ever get a block, even from the closest ranges ever. Because Goku has a little bit of delay firing his, limit breaker, god, whatever you call it, Kamehameha out. So his ultimate attack is technically slow. You should just block it. Don't try and dodge it. Ironically, when he's a Super Saiyan God, the move is actually faster, so you should just hold ultimate attack, or hold block, I guess, if he's doing his ultimate attack right in front of you, because you dodge it 100% of the time. You can see Prolefsy's literally fine. I just tell him, hey, just hold block only when the cinematic happens, just so we can get true tests, so we can get some real tests. And yeah, it works. So again, not every move has, instantaneous beam speed. For example, most normal super attacks are not as fast as ultimate attacks, therefore you will not be able to just dodge them right away. But melee supers, always 100% you'll be able to dodge them from point blank range, so long as you just hold block. So again, if you're fighting Yajirobe's or Videls, any of those characters that you really see just becoming like the meta all of a sudden because of After Image Strike or Sensu Beans, you can just hold block in front of them when you see them go for melee. Not only will you get a free dodge, but you can hard punish afterwards. Yeah, there's Blue Goku's ultimate attack being, again, so slow that if Prolefsy just holds block in the middle of the cinematic, he just gets a regular guard rather than an actual dodge. Just to further confirm it, some super attacks are legit so slow that holding block mid-cinematic just does not let you dodge them, because again, they're super attacks, you're supposed to be able to quick step out of them. Melee supers, however, 100% dodge rate. Always dodge a melee super point blank. That's why I encourage not mashing in this game also, by the way. If you're someone who mashes super perception, you would get hit by a random melee super just like that because they come out so quick. Or you get hit by random ultimate because, again, they also come out so quick. But in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, so long as you have a little bit of patience, you can always at least read what the enemy's doing. Anytime you see a backflip animation, you pretty much know what you're about to get hit by. So just, lock in, prepare, focus, see what the enemy's doing, especially if you're fighting someone who's a super attack spammer. You can utilize dodging their attacks perfectly by actually checking if it's a super quick melee ultimate that they're about to throw at you, or a beam that you need to reconsider either quick stepping out of or just trying to dodge it on reaction. Now we are onto the bad ending of skills, where there are some skills that are actually slow enough that you won't actually dodge them when they get fired out. For example, Full Power Jiren's ultimate attack. But on top of being slow enough that you don't dodge them, they are actually also unblockable. So you do not want to just be blocking in front of these attacks. Again, I don't know which one of these attacks actually are slow enough that you don't get a free dodge, but they are also unblockable. There's too many attacks that fit this demographic, so you guys are going to have to experiment that on your own. But as a Full Power Jiren main, I am happy to say that I am immune to my own tactic that I'm giving you guys, because no one can dodge my attack, as well as the fact that it's unblockable, so GG. So we do a lot of tests of hit, and we can actually see that if you hold block in the middle of a cinematic, you will just actually normal guard his super. We will go over actually reaction dodging supers in a bit, but I want to just further show again how if you can actually avoid one of these attacks, you can get a big punish in of yourself. Again, Frieza's move is fast enough that you get to just dodge it for free. However, his beam acts as a shield, so I couldn't get my own super attack in. Realistically, I can just scoot around a bit to get behind him and then unleash my attack, especially because ultimate attacks always have really long end lag. Now, you can see here, I just dodged Broly's ultimate with the recommended way, just block in the middle of the cutscene and then punish with a super quickly after, because you can. So why not just, why not do that? you can get so much out of just dodging super attacks in general, especially when you're fighting like level 20 CPU. One of the only ways to damage them is after they miss a super attack, because they can just legit counter everything. Or eventually there'll be players in Sparking Zero that are so good that the only way to damage them would be when they miss their super attacks. So reaction dodging supers might become very, very valuable for the longevity of the game, like at least learning the timing for super attacks, as well as having to fight with delay in mind, because again, we always have like lag to deal with, so lag can always mess up when exactly you would avoid a skill. So Prolefsy swaps the Great Ape Vegeta, and I'm like, hey, I'll just use Time Skip Jump Spike and let's see if you can dodge it. He can actually dodge it from blocking the cinematic, because the move is so quick from across the entire screen, because again, hit teleports just like Ultra Instinct Goku, the one of the white hair. He teleports when he does this melee super, therefore you can dodge it and actually punish it because of how long they are spent in recovery. It's very, very brutal. What I'm trying to say is, if you see an Ultra Instinct Goku or a hit player, don't be scared. If you see them just trying to spam their melee super because it teleports them across the entire screen, just hold block during the cinematic if your connection actually allows you to get a dodge from there. And then when you get the, the free animation where you avoid it, either hit them with a nasty combo or just a big super attack or an ultimate attack if you actually have the energy to do that too. So I know it took a while, but now we're going to talk about how you actually dodge super attacks, and I'm using Hit as the example because the moment he sticks his fist forward, that's when his projectile comes out. It's not an immediate projectile, it's not frame one, despite the fact that it looks like it. It's just really quick. So the moment he sticks his fist out, Prolefsy will press block, and he actually gets to dodge the super attack. It's just a very convenient skill, and keep in mind, Hit's super is invisible, so if you can dodge this one, you can pretty much dodge any Kamehameha after this, right? Any beam super, any orb super, you'll be set for life. You know what? In fact, I would suggest, when you go into training mode, if you want to practice dodging supers, practice against Hit. Because the only telegraph you have is his fist going forward. You don't even get a giant, beautiful, pretty-looking beam to look at to let you understand when you're actually going to get hit. It's just nothing. So I'd say practice against Hit, but I actually practice against Prolefsy here with a Super Galactic Gun just to show that, again, you can just easily avoid this. Right here also is Prolefsy showing how you can evade a move and then hit back with lots and lots of damage. So I go for Devious Broly's ultimate. This one you can actually hold guard during the cinematic because the beam comes out so quick. So he holds guard, he avoids it, and then he hits with a nasty Revenge Death Ball. Keep in mind, I can't do anything to dodge this because I'm stuck in my own beam animation. So I can't also hold block to avoid it at the same time, right? It's devastating. You want to keep an eye out for people who are super attack spammers and punish them accordingly. See if you can always stick close to a super attack spammer. I know that's going to sound insane, especially when someone's in sparking mode, because that's when they'll just be as brutal to you as possible. But you want to make sure that you're close to them because they'll always get paranoid or think, oh, damn, I could just throw on my ultimate attack right now and it'll be free. And then when they go for it, just avoid it and then hit them with something lethal afterwards. Put them in their place. So, yeah, you just want to practice the timing on stuff. If you don't want to practice the timing, then just know that you can, again, hold block against all melee supers in the game. It's just super effective. It's a really nice way to limit the amount of damage you're going to take because everyone's going to know that they can't just melee you, super you point blank, which a lot of people do with, again, characters like Yajirobe and Videl. And I know I shouldn't be mentioning them so much, but Sparking Zero, ironically, has made Yajirobe and Videl two very dangerous characters. So I'm mentioning them because it's going to happen a lot, okay? Even scarier, actually, when you think about that, Yajirobe has an unblockable rush attack. He has an unblockable melee super, the thing where he does the dive bomb kick with a Kablime attack. That is unblockable, so you always just want to block it or dodge that on reaction. Block it on reaction to it hitting you, which gives you the dodge, then you can clap back, okay? You always want to do that. Don't let that guy eat that senzu bean. And here is me showing some reaction-based dodges against Super Galactic Gun. Now, Super Galactic Gun I would practice on a lot because Super Galactic Gun is a massive beam. It's really hard to miss. So if you don't want to do practicing against invisible hit punches, I completely understand that. Don't do it. That might be a bit much for a lot of people. But you have ease of use with giant beams like, Great Baby's beam. That's not going to hurt you too much, especially if you're in an online match and you're fighting someone. But if you're like just in training mode, always practice against moves like Super Galactic Gun when you can because it's a massive projectile. It's really easy to react to. Just press block before the beam hits and you'll always be fine. Again, Devious Broly's beam, also really, really fast, but it's a lot smaller. Prolefsy's just a demon at dodging things, and he's teaching me because you can see how easy I was able to avoid that Super Galactic Gun too. You can always go around and then do additional damage or throw a super attack out afterwards, but make sure you don't collide your attack with the enemy's attack because you might end up flying into the beam and hitting yourself, or you could hit the beam and then your own attack gets cancelled out. You always want to make sure you go around if the beam is still in the way after you dodge. Now, the last thing I want to show off is dodging much slower moves like Death Slicer. Death Slicer is a very special move because dodging it actually doesn't let you avoid it. You can see that the move still tries to come back around and hit you a second time. And the closer you are to Death Slicer, the more it tries to go after you. A good example is Prolefsy throws it and I am able to avoid it. In fact, the move is so lethal. When I avoid it through just regular vanish means, it does its best to hit me a second time. and it did a lot of damage, even though it barely got any hits off there. So this move can really mess you up. If you see someone go for full power Frieza and they're just spamming Death Slice, I don't think that's a free match. That's almost an invitation to death. Even if you avoid the first disc, you can get hit by the second one, and it's just so scary. So you don't want to get hit by the move directly, because if you get hit by the whole move directly, then you just take a mountainous amount of damage. Keep in mind it's unblockable, so you can't just do the thing where you're like, oh, I'll just hold block and I'll be fine. You know, it's okay. I don't even have to test remove. In fact, Death Slice is also lethal if you avoid the Destructo Discs, right? You can go for a melee super and you abuse Frieza, you beat the hell out of him. They still come back, and they still hit you. So, like, what the hell? The move is that good? Yes, it's that good. I'll be making a full power Frieza video soon. It's just a really scary move. Here you actually see me do my best to time my dodges with the Destructo Discs coming in, so that way I can avoid every single hit and every single time they come around. I think that's another really useful move to train on if you're just trying to dodge supers on reaction. Again, it's one of the slower supers, which is going to be really rare in Sparking Zero. Everyone's usually firing like a beam or some sort of like massive orb-based projectile that moves really quick. So it'll be pretty rare that you have to go up against a move like Death Slicer, but still a good thing to practice against. Hits Punch because there's almost no telegraph. Super Galakugan because it's a massive beam that is really slow, so you can see it and therefore train against it. Or Death Slicer because it's another move that you can go, hey, I'll just press block just about when it's about to hit me. You know, it gives you a good idea when you can press block. Because I think most people suffer with the timing because they don't know how close do I need it to get before I can press block. Do I need it to be literally about to touch me? No, it doesn't even need to be that close. Because again, projectiles in this game have massive hitboxes. You just need to wait for it to kind of almost hit you. If that makes any sense, just go into training mode. That's the easiest way to explain it. Go into training mode, practice against the any super attack of your liking, and that should be all you need. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty solid place to end the video, guys. Again, if you enjoyed the video, obviously, again, please leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe, it greatly supports the channel. And leave any suggestions or tips you would have for dodging supers and ultimate attacks in the comment section down below. Again, I'm always going to be practicing because online, the connection and timing is all going to be different. But nevertheless, still get your practice in. Otherwise, you won't know what to do when the scenario arrives. Either way, that'll be it. Love you all. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Take care and peace.